Hello everyone, this is Heather and I am back with another video. Today I'm sharing a tutorial on how to create your own traveler's notebook inserts. And I am no pro at this, but I've done it a couple times now and I'm really excited to share this with you. I love the idea of creating my own notebooks because they can get expensive to purchase on their own. So what I'm doing here is using 8 sheets of laser bright white paper, and it's just printer paper, and it's from Staples, and it's a 28-pound paper, so it's a bit heavier than my regular computer paper, but it's basically just printer paper. And I took the 8.5 by 11 sheet and cut it at 21 centimeters, and then I just used the width, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. Sorry that I'm mixing imperial and metric, but that's what we do here in Canada. And so I'm doing the same to the cover here, cutting the width at 21 centimeters and then folding the 8.5 width in half, and that creates a 4.25 width notebook. And I will put the dimensions of all the regular size notebooks on my blog. If you're interested in seeing that, I will convert it to metric and imperial if you like, because I know that that's easier. So what I'm doing now is just taking my ruler. I've stacked all 8 sheets together, so it's one signature, and I just marked each hole, and I'm doing 5 holes for the binding. I did it 1 inch from the top and bottom, and then the holes are spaced at 1.5 inches. So it's a little bit more than 1 inch from the top and bottom. It's more like 1 1/8 maybe. But just center those 5 holes in whatever way you like, and I just poked them with a needle. If you have a really thick signature, you might need a thimble to get the needle through, or even a thicker needle. And I'm just using some black thread here and threading up my needle, and I'm going to just tie a couple knots in the end. These knots aren't super important, it's just sort of a guideline for me to help me keep a bit at the end there. I don't want it to pull all the way through, and you do want your knot tied into the string a little bit in length, I mean, so there's a long enough tail at the end there that you can tie it at the end. So I've gone down through the second hole, and then back up the first hole, back down the second hole. If you can see that, I got a little behind in my narration, and I've slowed this part down, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Sorry that I'm off screen there. And going up the third hole, and I'm referring to up and down. Down is down through the book, like I just did there, and up is coming back into the book from the outside. So now I'm just alternating in and out till I get to the last hole, which I should end up inside the book now. And as you can see, every second hole now has thread through it. So I'm just going to weave my way back down through that hole and then back up. I'm not the best at explaining this, so sorry about that, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. It's pretty straightforward. It's a simple binding technique, and there's lots of other ways you could do this too. You could use a different number of holes or space them closer together, whatever you like. And then I'm just looping my thread back through the first loop of thread, as you can see, and I'm just going to tie those 2 ends together to secure it. So as you can tell, the knot that I made at the beginning isn't very important, but it helps me just to keep that tail there, as I said. So I'm tying a double knot here, and I haven't cut the needle off yet. I just find it easier to tie the knot with the needle on so that I know that I didn't cut the thread too short. And then I'm just going to trim off these threads and be good to go. So as I mentioned, I used 8 sheets of paper in this book, but you could do more or less. I find with this weight, 8 is a pretty good thickness for these notebooks, and I think that I can fit a lot in the notebooks too, because that's 8 single sheets of paper, so that makes 16 pages altogether, but of course the pages are double-sided, so it's pretty much 32 pages. So you get a lot of bang for your buck with these. And as you saw, I just cut off the excess on the edge there because when you fold the paper, the middle sheets poke out more than the end sheets, if that makes sense, as I showed you earlier. And now I'm just going to show you how to add the bookmark. So I punched a hole in the back cover pretty close to the spine and close to the top, and I just added an eyelet with my big bite. You could also use a crocodile, and this is just so that the string doesn't tear through that cardstock. And I just tied some black cotton cord onto it, and I'm tying a charm at the bottom. You could use beads or a tassel or any sort of weighted object to make your bookmark hang nicely, and then you can see you can put it between any of the pages and it hangs really nicely. I quite like how that turned out. So I started stamping on my cover here, but it didn't turn out how I wanted it to. It was a bit crooked and the embossing powder didn't look how I had hoped. So I'm just using a piece of the scrap craft paper that I use for the cover, and I'm cutting that to cover up what I didn't want, and I'm re-stamping those images. So the top sentiment says, "You hold the key to my heart," and then I stamped a little key beneath that, and these stamps are really pretty. I will mention on my blog what company they're from because I can't remember offhand, sorry about that. And I just adhered that piece of cardstock, and I'm adding a bit of washi for decoration on the edge. These notebooks are so fun because you can decorate them in any way that you want, and I really like theming my different notebooks, so this one in particular, I'm giving it to my husband as an anniversary gift, and I'm going to continuously write him little notes in there, and it's sort of like a gratitude journal, and I'll write him notes about things that I'm grateful for him, grateful to have him for. I'm not saying this right. I'm getting sick, so sorry, my mind is a little bit jumbled. But basically, I'm going to write him nice notes and put different pictures of us together in there, and it's just going to be a cute little notebook for the two of us to read together, I guess. So I'm not going to have the notebook completed for our anniversary, but I will continuously write things in it, if that makes sense. So now I'm just taking a couple more stamps, and I'm stamped the word hello and the word love below that, and I really like how those two fonts contrast nicely. The word hello is a nice script font, and love is more bold. And it wasn't looking quite done to me, so I'm adding some bright green washi on top of that black and white striped washi, and the gold paperclip wasn't doing it for me either. The space wasn't quite right and the paperclip was a bit too big, so I found this green one that matched those letters that I put on that say my husband's name, and I like how that looks better. I love putting paper clips on the covers of my notebooks because then I can always attach something to the inside as well if I wanted. So that is the completed notebook. I hope that you check out my blog for more details, and also don't forget to check me out on Instagram and Pinterest. I am StayBeautiful84 over there as well. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have a great week.